Welcome to the Cinemagic Preview Show. This week we'll be reviewing the biographical documentary Mike Wallace is Here.
There is a new billionaire in town. Trump's the name. Donald Trump is a major deal maker, a swashbuckler. Donald, you're in your late 30s. You got 40 years to live, minimum.
Well, I hope you're right about that.
What are you going to do?
There are a lot of things to do. You know, a fertile imagination and a good fertile mind, Mike, it's really amazing what can be thought of. There are so many things to do.
Politics?
So many. No, not politics.
You've said that you could do a better job at negotiating an arms control agreement with the Soviets than some of these professionals who've been trying to do it for years.
I didn't say me, Mike. I said somebody has to do it. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it. Somebody has to help this country, and if they don't, the country and the world are in big trouble. Because within a short period of time, as sure as we're sitting here, there's not going to be a country and there's not going to be a world.
What do our young Cinemagic reviewers think? Hi, welcome to the Cinemagic Preview Show. On this edition, I'll be reviewing Mike Wallace is Here. Mike Wallace is Here is a documentary about American journalist Mike Wallace, who was the host of 60 Minutes. And at the start of the documentary, we see him experimenting with the format of 60 Minutes by interviewing celebrities just like Donald Trump, Oprah Winfrey, and Bill O'Reilly. And we see this through archived footage of the show. The film is a documentary, which is my favourite genre, and Mike Wallace is Here is a documentary that kept me on the edge of my seat the whole way through and really did captivate my attention. The documentary really reminded me of Netflix's original docuseries Trial by Media. They both follow the same format of showing how the media can influence the public's opinion of a person or event. Mike Wallace is Here is a documentary that is compelling and also gripping, and it had me on the edge of my seat the whole way through it, and I really can't say anything bad about it. The target audience for the documentary is anyone like me who enjoys documentaries, and also people around about the same age as me, so 18 or even younger, because it is a 12A. I would give the film a 5 out of 5 because I really can't say anything bad about it, like I said earlier, and it really did have me on the edge of my seat the whole way through it.
My name is Rosa Scott and this is the Cinemagic Preview Show. I will be reviewing the documentary called Mike Wallace is Here, directed by Belkin. One thing I liked about this film is how it's almost entirely made up of archive footage of his interviews and his life and his news shows on the TV. The editing in this documentary played a key role, as it's done very cleverly, as it draws parallels between different interviews that Mike Wallace has done and helps to show him more as a person rather than a TV personality. This film presents quite well the struggles that Mike Wallace faced, both in his career and in his personal life. Something I disliked about the film was, with all the interviews and the archive footage, they did not show any names of who the people featured were, and as the editing quickly cut between different interviews, maybe because I'm so young, I didn't know who an awful lot of the people were, and that wasn't mentioned until the end in the credits, which would have helped clarify a lot more for me. Another thing I found with this documentary, I felt like it focused more on the stories that Mike Wallace was reporting on and the political events and what was happening in society at that time in America, rather than how he was affected by it. It focused more on what was happening in the world and who he was interviewing. I felt like it didn't give much context to that. Overall, I would give this documentary a 3.5 out of 5, as I found the use of archive footage and the split screen editing fantastic, but it was difficult for me to follow at times, perhaps because of my own lack of knowledge on American journalism, but it was very insightful and very interesting to watch, and I did enjoy it.
My name is Jake Kettyles, and the film I watched today is called Mike Wallace is Here. The unique style of the film is quite gripping, and it's very impressive how the director managed to tell a cohesive story using only archival footage. One criticism I have of the film is that I feel it drags slightly in the middle. The start and end are very interesting, while the middle doesn't keep up the same pace. The unique archival style of the film might be off-putting for some viewers. I feel that it could have been edited in a more docudrama style to echo the tense interviews of Mike Wallace. The split screens of different perspectives let us see the tensions of both sides of the interview, of Mike himself and the interviewee. Cross-cutting between different interviews allows potent, moving stories to be told about Mike himself and his personal struggles through the interviews he did of other subjects. The film's use of sound and sound editing is key in helping tell the story that director Belkin is trying to tell. Mostly older audiences would be interested in this film, due to the tense and serious subject matter, and also the subject himself is more known to the older generations than the younger generations. However, the film does a great job in making Mike Wallace accessible and known to first-time viewers. I give the film 4 stars out of 5.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Cleary, and today I'm going to be reviewing the film Mike Wallace is Here. I thought the score used, there was like some clock ticking elements, which through the documentary, or if you know Mike Wallace, he was a key figure in the program 60 Minutes. So, and the opening of that show was a stopwatch ticking. So it was a nice reference, a callback to that. But also it created an atmosphere in the documentary of how Mike Wallace worked for 70 years of his life, and how he was so dedicated to his career, and he would, more than his like family life, which is talked about in the documentary, about his personal struggle with balancing work and his life. And so with the score, it creates an atmosphere of tension, and how almost time is running out for Wallace, and he is just working so hard his whole life. I also looked at an interview of Avi Belkin afterwards to see his view of the film, because I was quite interested on what he was trying to portray in his own words afterwards, and I thought it was quite interesting to see how he wanted to tell the macrocosm of like journalism and what's going on in the world today through using Mike Wallace's story. It's also very informative as a young person who was not born in the 20th century, but born in 2002, just missed it. But how I would know of all these like events, but I wouldn't know the details, or I wouldn't have seen like all these interviews of like the actual key figures involved. So I thought it was very informative. I have a lot of stuff to go research and do my own research into now, because I'm quite interested. So it's very informative for young people today. It wouldn't have been something I would have watched, but I'm really glad I watched it. And I would probably give it a 4 out of 5 rating, because it was really eye-opening.
My name is John McGuire, and this is the Cinemagic preview show. I was asked to watch the documentary Mike Wallace is Here. The director Avi Belkin's use of archival footage perfectly captures Wallace's efforts to be taken seriously by veterans in the journalistic world who thought he was nothing more than an actor. We see Wallace interview people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Salvador Dali, former Ku Klux Klan member Eldon Edwards, Putin, and Donald Trump. In my opinion, the most interesting interview by far, however, is with the whistleblower Jeffrey Wiggard, a big tobacco executive. This was initially pulled when the tobacco company Brown & Williamson threatened to file a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. However, this interview became a part of television history, showing how money and big businesses could hide the truth from the public. The director agrees that Wallace's dogged commitment to getting answers is journalism in its purest form, but he also makes the point that Wallace's influence also opened the floodgates for charlatans to swallow up airtime and turn themselves into the stars of their own primetime dramas. After watching this documentary, I came across a Fox News report, and there was a poll on how well Trump was handling the coronavirus. The options given were superb, great, and good. There were no other choices in the poll. Near the end of Belkin's film, we are reminded about how difficult it is to be a journalist with integrity seeking truth in America today. Belkin shows us a clip of Donald Trump saying, "Look at the fake news media in the back." That underlines this entire film's point perfectly. The damage done to journalism in modern America is so severe that we live in a world where when someone is confronted with hard truths, all they need to say is fake news to dismiss the arguments. This exploration of Mike Wallace's legacy, both good and bad, is a fascinating and fantastic watch, so I will give this film 4 out of 5.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.